You won't believe the scenes Disney deleted from Bluey. Today, we're exposing Disney's moralistic scissors and showing you what they didn't want you to see. Why were such cute and even controversial moments left out of the final version? Did your favorite cartoon make an extremely relatable joke that everyone can understand and laugh at? Wait, that's illegal, because nothing says protect the children like censoring a cartoon where dogs have barbecues and play freeze tag. Disney, that supreme guardian of good morals, decided that certain scenes in Bluey were simply too dangerous for the fragile child brain. What if a joke about butts or a scolding from a dad traumatizes someone, right? Better cut out everything remotely human and leave only what's politically pure. The result is exactly what everyone wants. Mutilated episodes, jokes ripped out like they were nuclear threats, and scenes that would apparently cause the collapse of modern civilization if they ever aired. No, wait, is that what we want? Of course, or so they think. That's when the censorship boards come in, acting like Bluey is some ultra-violent documentary directed by Tarantino. These defenders of morality look at a family of dogs playing in the backyard and see an attack on public order. There's so much concern with the right message that they forget what Bluey does best. Show life as it is, with mistakes, messes, and yes, silly little jokes. And even some really clever ones. But no, let's all pretend that cutting a scene where Bandit lets out a big ol' fart is essential for healthy child development. Thank you, censorship. Saving the world, one sabotaged episode at a time. Did I spark your curiosity? Then grab your plates of beans with cabbage, subscribe to the channel, and get ready for the most absurd Disney censorships in Bluey here on Zigzag. In the episode, Markets, we have yet another classic case of censorship level. Oh my god, the kids are going to see poop. Yes, you heard that right. Bluey gets a bit of money from the Tooth Fairy and goes out with Indy to spend it wisely, which obviously means paying a fake unicorn trainer. The so-called unicorn, named Buttermilk, because of course it is just a pony with a horn glued to its forehead. So far, everything's lovely and magical. But then, like every living being, Buttermilk drops a little turd on the grass, and boom, moral panic. The girls scream, run away. The scene is hilarious precisely because nobody expected it, and that's exactly why it was cut. On Disney Plus, the poop is gone, all clean. But check this out. In the rest of the world, including the US DVDs themselves, the scene is there, standing firm and stinky as it should be. And even weirder, Disney Junior actually aired the original version before backtracking, as if they had a nervous breakdown over digital feces. Anyway, just another proof that Bluey is brave enough to show reality. Sometimes the magic pony poops, and that's okay. And speaking of smelly things, the next censorship stinks of nonsense too. Since we started by talking about Bandit the Farter, it's only fair to expose this censorship here, which, honestly, is as ridiculous as a fart to the face. The episode Family Meeting was considered problematic because, get ready, it revolves around a fictional trial in which Bluey accuses her dad of letting out a fart right in her face. That's right, a canine court case over flatulence, a heinous crime, according to the great thinkers of modern censorship. Chili takes on the role of judge, while Bluey presents as evidence a list of foods famous for unleashing the intestinal demon. It's hilarious, it's creative, it's absurdly Bluey. But no, the Disney know-it-alls thought it was all too much for kids, as if fart jokes weren't the official currency of childhood. The irony? The episode only came back on air after the public went wild and reminded everyone that Disney itself created Pumbaa, the fartiest warthog in animation history. In other words, when it's a dog cartoon, it's inappropriate. But if it's a warthog singing about how he ruins dinners with toxic gas, then it's a childhood classic. Go figure. Subscribe to the channel before Mickey orders this video to be cut too. Another masterpiece of modern censorship. The episode Taxi was edited for a reason so dumb it makes you want to laugh or throw up, depending on your tolerance for nonsensical decisions. In it, Bluey is playing taxi driver, while Bandit plays a stressed-out executive trying to get to the airport. All perfectly normal, until Bluey decides to ditch the wheel and become an airplane pilot instead. Because of course, nothing's safer than a hyperactive kid taking control of an imaginary jet. And here comes the crime. As he boards, Bandit discovers that the pilot is the same crazy driver from before, and bingo, in an Oscar-worthy performance, pretends her doll throws up in her dad's lap. And now you ask me, after finishing laughing at the scene, okay, and? Exactly, that's it, that's what they cut. There wasn't even any real vomit, no gross animation. It was just Bingo going bleg with her tongue out. And for some mystical, inexplicable reason, this scene disappeared from the American version. Maybe they thought kids would spiral into an eternal loop of fake vomiting and social chaos. But let's be honest, who hasn't pretended to barf as a kid just for laughs? You don't even have to be a kid. I make gagging sounds every time a new episode of The Last of Us 2 comes out.
I'm gonna be a dad.
But if you thought that was absurd, just wait until you see what they cut just because a kid pretended to be a penguin. In the episode Fruit Bat, Bluey goes full drama mode because guess what? She doesn't want to go to bed. The solution? Become a bat. Because in the flawless logic of a 6-year-old, bats don't sleep. They stay awake eating fruit and flying around. So all you have to do is become one and boom, problem solved. The solution to everything is turning into nocturnal animals. Don't confuse it with that weird Amy Adams movie, okay? Here the vibe is more childlike fantasy and less psychological trauma with a nighttime creature. But the controversy has nothing to do with the bat or the psychedelic dream where she invades Bandit's mind and sees him scoring a rugby touchdown against his brothers. The drama comes before all that. At the very beginning of the original episode, Bluey is playing penguin and slides across the floor on her belly, all happy. And that's when Disney Jr. had a stroke and cut the scene in the American version. Because, apparently, kids sliding on the floor is a national threat. In the rest of the world, the scene is there, shining. Because you see, teaching empathy, imagination, and creativity is totally fine. But showing a kid pretending to be a penguin? Oh no, that's asking for the collapse of society. You think that was the worst one? Dude, check out the next one. It's no secret that Disney does everything it can to maintain a family-friendly image, without including anything that might be seen as inappropriate. That's why the episode Daddy Put Down was censored when it was added to Disney Plus, because of just one single line of dialogue. In the episode, Bingo and Bluey are explaining to Bandit what a baby shower is, and he pretends he doesn't know. They explain that it's not when you put a baby in hot water to drink it, but a party to give gifts to a woman who has a baby in her belly. Then Bingo asks her dad how babies get into moms' bellies, and Bandit dodges the question by spinning Bingo around on the swing, and Disney apparently didn't like that at all. Even though the decision of when to teach kids about conception is up to each parent, Disney wanted to avoid controversy and therefore altered the episode, calling it an inappropriate scene. Oh heavens! The horror of finding out where babies come from. If you also think this change was totally unnecessary, type the hashtag gag in the comments so we'll know. Children's shows, especially those aimed at very young kids, have little tolerance for themes that could be interpreted as too adult, if you know what I mean. That's why the episode Perfect was altered when it arrived in the US. In it, there's a flashback where Bandit is throwing a boomerang with Bluey and talking to Fido. That conversation was originally about castration, and dude, they're dogs. It's a very silly joke that no kid would understand. However, in the US version, the conversation was changed to be about Bandit having his teeth removed. Even though Bluey usually touches on more adult themes in a subtle way, this reference was considered a step too far by Disney. In the end, Disney isn't protecting the kids. It's protecting the adults from admitting that real childhood includes farts, poop, and questions about babies. Which scene do you think was the most ridiculously censored?